Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the most popular trading card games in the world, comprising over 10,000 cards. The sheer quantity of cards has created a wall of complexity that scares away potential newcomers. But things are changing. Singles, Yu-Gi-Tubers, and articles, the barrier clears away day by day. The question left is, can a total noob enter the ring using nothing but the sealed product that smart people warn us fools against? Hello and welcome. I am Shimeon the Simian, jumping into sealed-only craze started by legends such as the People Shown. We will be building a Yu-Gi-Oh deck using nothing but sealed products and a budget of 60 Oz each week. No singles allowed. Unlike other sealed-only challenges, we will be allowing trading for cards because if we are going for that authentic old-school feel, trading is fundamental. Trading will have a stipulation to otherwise keep in the spirit of sealed only. We can only trade for a card if we have done our best effort to obtain it via sealed product. This means that a card only obtainable from, say, Ancient Guardians can only be traded for if the set goes out of print and we are unable to find any remaining sealed product. Our budget will be boosted by winning games while losing games will decrease our budget. Our goal is to get to $120 budget, and we fail if we ever get down to $30, because let's be real, at that point, there is no recovery. First 2 weeks of matches are not counted because success was never an option. So, let's dive in. This week, we are handling $51 due to counting one less game than I should have last week. We are cracking open the last of the Ignition Assault Special Edition boxes that I have in the hand, and 4 more Chaos Impact Booster boxes in the hopes of improving our base. Let's get cracking! Before we start, I really just want to try this. Oh man, that really worked. Let's try that again. Oh man, that's really cool. Hey, let's see if we can go any further. Oh, is there something I could? Let's try clapping. Oh, okay. That was close. Alright. Well, as you can probably guess, we're still cracking open more Ignition Assault and Chaos Impact. Let's check out our special editions first. Goki Destroy Ogre, and on the other side, we just need one more Sarama. Goki Guts. And on the other one, wow, we've got a lot of Goki Destroy Ogres now. That's kind of ridiculous. It is Sarama. Now we've got our playset of Sarama. We won't be needing to crack those special edition packs anymore. Except for maybe if we want to try and get more abominable Unchained Souls. Let's go crackin'. Donyo Ribo Adignista, Shiny Black Sea Squatter, Cataclysmic Crusted Calcifada, Ibicella Lutea, Plunder Patrol Ship Moerk. Okay. Can't use it, but that's pretty cool. It's a secret rare. Ivoire Loop, Ghost Meets Girl, Shiro Kunishi, and Kunamzan. Kunamzan, I guess. Chaos Impact. Rakea. And we don't care about Phantasos. So now we've got our playset of Rakea as well. We just need to get Aruha to our playset. Gravity Controller. Charged Up Heraldry. Tie Strike. Earth Golem Adignista. Doyon Adignista. Ivoire Loop. Hiyari Adignista. Shiro Kinishi. No, I got that right, actually. Chronocorder. Gonna keep going. Karakuri Cashin. Matching Outfits. Transcicada. Doshin Adignista. Ancient Warriors Saga Sunlu Allegiance, Megalith Ophiel, Megalith Bethel, Phaedron, and Armory Core. Not too much left. Marinsa Sea Angel. Actually, wait, we can just skip through that one. We don't need any more Rakayas. That's unfortunate. And Phantasms. Next pack. Mutually Assured Destruction. Matching Outfits. Doshin at Ignister. Tusper Rocket. Fire Phoenix at Ignister. And Utgarda. Water Leviathan. Time Thief Startup. And 9 Lives Cat. AI Shadow. Megalith Emergence. Tusper Rocket. Cross Sheep is interesting. Not going to play it at the moment because we don't have a whole lot that we can do with it. But if we ever get into some fusions, we've got Cross Sheep, and Time Thief Perpetua, Ghost Meets Girl, Startup, 9 Lives Cat, and Chrono Quarter. Would really be nice to get another Aruha. Entanglement and Bounty. I don't think we've seen that one yet. But it is not relevant to us. Escape of the Unchained, Marinsa's Crowntail, Dances with Beasts, and Spiral Dragon. Last Ignition Assault for today. Duruma Dropper, Bellcat Fighter, Heraldry, Shipyard, Wind Pegasus, Megalith Portal, Hiyari, Guard Ghost, and Bethel. Alright, last pack. Let's see what we get. DD Patrol Plane, Brutal Dozer, Cascade, Collider, and another Aruha. Phantasms. Awesome. That is not a bad pull. We have completed 2 of our playsets, and are now 1/3 closer to finishing off the last playset. Well, actually, no, even more, 50%. So, I will now leave you off while we do our deck tech. Alrighty, deck changes this week. First off, we're cutting Mari Mari. And because we're cutting Mari Mari, we're cutting Unmasked Dragon. Unmasked Dragon was only run to get Mari Mari. So if we don't have Mari Mari, we don't need Unmasked Dragon. As for why we're removing Mari Mari, apart from the fact that I forgot that it's our only tuner, I kind of feel like our deck has become consistent enough that we don't actually need it anymore. We can actually consistently get to Unchained Abomination, like most games, so Mari Mari no longer serves a strong purpose to us. We're also cutting one of our jelly cannons. This is about the time where we need to start taking the initiative. Yes, we are a soft control deck, but that doesn't mean that we need to sit back and play the defense. We should still be on the aggression. We need to be on the forefront. And that's kind of what our deck changes are geared towards. First of all, we're completing our playset of Sarama and Rakia, as well as adding in our second Aruha, which means that we now have 8 of the Unchained twins in our deck, which just helps our consistency a lot and allows us to be very active during the game. We are also adding in an Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, which brings us up to 6 spells or traps of the Unchained archetype. Sadly, we've been very unlucky on getting any of the Unchained spells, but you gotta work with what you've got. That's the deck changes for this week. So I will now leave you off with the games. Alright, game 1. We were playing against Phantom Knights Orcust. They will go T-set pass. We drop 2 face downs, then go Sarama, special summon Aruha, attempt to use Chamber. They then negate, and then I go Sarama to the Chamber. They negate that. I then go into Nightmare Phoenix in case they had a high defense monster and attack. Their turn, they went ahead and grabbed Fogblade. I am going very slow, I apologize. Nimble Momonga here, and I just started going beatdown plan. There wasn't much else to do here. They drop another face down. I go in to attempt to attack with Phoenix, which got prevented by the Fogblade. My opponent just set a card and passed their turn. I draw Nimble Beaver, which I use to then go and get another Nimble Momonga, which lets me special summon a Uka. They imperm the Momonga for some reason. I then use Escape of the Unchained to pop their other back row because I decided I don't really care about that Fogblade in this case. And I went ahead and cleared their board and ended the game. Game 2, they went first, and they go Foolish Burial, and set and pass. So with my colorful hand, Rakia trying to pop my back row, didn't work. They go Nightmare into Wand. At this point, I probably should have done something about this. I'm not sure. Actually, wait. No. Yeah, this was what I was waiting for them to give me something to use. Which think I popped the wrong thing with Abominable Unchained Soul. They finish on Dingirsu. I Forbidden Lance their Dingirsu, which didn't really matter. Drew another Forbidden Lance and set to put Rakia into defense mode. They do a few things to improve their board state again. But Dingirsu here, unfortunately, is something which just counters our deck too well. Aruha into Surama. So that was Rakia into Aruha into Surama. This is me just trying to build up my discard to have things to work with. They tried to imperm me, so I Forbidden Lanced my Surama, and then I just put Surama into defense mode. Unfortunately, the Unchained Soul of Disaster got set, so kind of had to just deal with that. And my opponent goes into Dingirsu again. At this point, I'm really just on survival mode. I tried to use the pot, but that didn't work either. So I just set a Nimble Momonga. They destroyed it because they didn't know what it was, and decided that was better the one you know than the one you don't. At this point, I used them to get Unchained Soul, which I tried to use to link off their creature, which obviously didn't work. Unchained Soul of Rage, which my hope was to do this, which did work, but Cyframe Gamma, which unfortunately is just so unlucky, but that just happens. And so now we're on our third game, second one probably of the series. They set 3 and pass, and I mean, look at this hand. Do you think there's any way there could have been a chance? I decided to let them have their fun, and I end up telling them what I had just before I end up surrendering, because yes, I surrendered this match. Look at my hand. There is no way I could have won. This was just a god-awful hand. So I drew the new card, saw that it was Rakia, thought about it, tried to use Rakia, and was denied, and it was just like, yeah, it's over. Alright, on to game 2. Well, sorry. Yeah, game 2. Yeah, no, that's right. Tri-Brigade. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the tier 1 variants. We have literally no chance here. But I do my best anyway. I get Uka and Aruha out. I need to double check what Earth monster I could have picked, because Uka was letting me select... Omega was letting me select the Earth monster instead. But I didn't check, so... Yeah, this is the Simorg variant, which is just a bit too strong on the defensive side for me. I unfortunately can't do a whole lot about it. I drop a Rakia, knowing that I can, after popping that barrier statue, swap it out for Aruha, which gets me Unchained Soul, which gets me another Unchained Soul, and then I pass their turn. Unfortunately, the Simorg alone which is probably the most important thing to try and deal with. Maybe I should have actually kept the Unchained Soul for the what's his name? Shureg. But by this point, it was already too late. This was game over. So, yep, there we go. On to round 2. They play pretty much exactly the same hand as last time, and I do as well, surprisingly. Except I go for defense mode this time. They get a bunch of burning damage from Uka while they do off their combos. Apologies if I'm not trying to even go for explaining what's going on. It's a bit too much for me to try and keep up with, and I'm doing this live commentary because I find it a bit more natural. It's not quite as natural as if I was showing you the recording of me while I'm playing. I try to get Sarama out thinking that, look, if they bounce Aruha again, then that's fine. But it turns out they were actually smarter this time. The issue is, here, I really couldn't do much about it. And that's game. On to game 3 is a pendulum deck. Built around just odd eyes. Just odd eyes, really. They go get Sky Iris, set up their scales, pop one of the scales, and then pass turn. So I just kind of rub my hands together and start going off with all my effects. With Unchained Soul popping their back row. At this point, I realized I didn't actually understand. I misunderstood how link summoning works, so you can't link summon with a face down, but that was okay. They got rid of my most important card there, but that was kind of okay. And they made the mistake of attacking my monster, which, because of Unchained Soul, I got Abominable Unchained Soul back, which I used to pop their monster, which they then used to get Odd Eyes Lancer Dragon, Rakia, and at this point, this is basically game. I play one more monster, and I can get Unchained Soul into Unchained Abomination. Like, they live on 500 life points here, and I pop up their last pendulum. They've got no board. They go for Supreme King, Gate 0, and I use Rakia to pop my Unchained Soul to pop the Supreme Gate 0. And that was game. Round 2 of the same game. Bit weaker hand starting, so I set just 2 and pass, thinking that if they go for an attack, I've got the Drowning Mirror Force. They pendulum scale for 3 monsters, and an attack, which I have Drowning Mirror Force, but they keep 2 monsters because they were smart enough to put them in defense mode. I then pop their entire back row with Harpy's Feather Duster, and use Jelly Cannon to get their other monster back into the deck. They then attack over Gate 0. They drop Chronograph Sorcerer, which gets into them another Chronograph Sorcerer. Sorry, that's Time Gazer Magician they swapped into, and Chronograph is now in play. I pop their Time Gazer, and then go into Unicorn, throwing away their Chronograph. They get down Odd Eye Synchron and Synchro into Time Gazer. I drop Rakia and go into Unchained Abomination, which lets me pop their Odd Eye Synchro, and at a turn I pop the Gate 0. So, at this point, they place a Assault Wyvern, I hit them, they draw, they put down another face down Assault Wyvern, and I win. Woohoo! Finally onto game 4. Yeah, Phantom Knights again, with Jackalopes, and Burning Abyss. This is a tough matchup for us, especially because the Bardiche provides some protection that prevents us from using most of our Unchained effects. This deck builds into Dark Rebellion, Dragon, and all that sort of thing. This board state, as it is, wouldn't be that bad for us. But the real problem is that... And we can't start using this stuff to try and get some semblance of control. I was very confused why I couldn't use Unchained Soul here. And the answer is that there was protection. Yeah, this match ended up being quite a bit of a mess. But I still tried to do my best with what I've got. So they're going off, comboing off, and eventually they'll end on... what was its name? It's not Dark Rebellion, it's the level... is it Arc Rebellion? I think it's Arc Rebellion. And that was game. Round 2, not an exciting hand, but it's something to work with. I make them go first. They go off and do their combos. I have a Soul Crossing, which actually is not a bad thing in this game. Its issue is that I don't have a Obelisk in hand, so it doesn't matter. Sadly, Soul Crossing does not help us much there. So they're just going off, and they drop with a Evil Swarm card. And I actually draw Spiritual Entanglement, which I use on it, because that's our best target. I then go ahead to try and use Unchained Soul of Disaster, which didn't work out. I popped their other card, and yeah, I tried very hard to do something here. It did not work. And unfortunately, Unchained Soul of Rage is once per turn, so my opponent could basically just go off and do whatever they wanted. This really highlights a problem that we're going to have to do something about next week. But that is game. Or, not quite. Ah yeah, I remember now. I make the mistake of putting a card face down, not knowing that Downed Magician has Piercing. This situation can't be allowed to continue. Yes, we won another game, but we are dying a death by 1,000 cuts. On the plus side, we now have playsets of our most important monsters, and it's time to start improving our interaction. The main issue is, Dual Devastator is expensive around these parts, so we will need to do something drastic. If you managed to get to the end of this video, then please remember to drop a comment, press that like button, or the dislike button, because interaction makes the Skynet system we all submitted ourselves to happier, and consider subscribing. See you next week!